Hey class, welcome to Geology Rocks with Mr. Altomare. Today we're going to be learning about three major rock types, and we're going to take a deeper dive and learn a couple cool, interesting ways to identify these rocks. Today we're going to be learning about three different rocks. We're going to teach you a little bit more about them, and then we're going to sort them into each category. Let's get rocking. Before we get rocking into these, we're going to take a quick look at the three different rock types. First, we have sedimentary rock. A few things that help you identify these are they have a sand-like texture and often are very fragile. Now the next rock, the metamorphic rock, which is formed when pressure pushes down rock after sediment builds up, is going to have more of a crystal-like structure, and you'll see more fine crystals shining back at you when you look at them. These rocks usually tend to be more sturdy and competent, as we call them in the rock world. And then last but not least, my personal favorite, the igneous rock. Igneous rocks are formed from volcanoes exploding, basically magma or lava. These rocks you can identify them by looking at the vesicles, which appear as small holes going through the rocks, and they usually are a darker shade of black or gray. We're going to get started here today with a sedimentary rock. Now this sedimentary rock is originally formed when sediment gets piled on top of each other, usually in an ocean environment, such as this one. This one is known as sandstone. You can see this is sandstone because it has these parallel stripes here, which indicate different layers of sand, which means these were formed on a beach environment. Now we can see this because when we look closer, you'll see nice little pores all over this rock. And if you feel them, it actually feels like a sandy texture. And often these rocks are found near a beach environment or river, but they can actually be found atop of mountains, as the landscape of the ancient world was much different than today's. Next up, we got this awesome rock. This rock here comes from an environment of great pressure and great heat. Now, like the sedimentary rock, this can form from just mass amounts of sediment being piled on top of each other, but unique about this, due to tectonics and greater sedimentary building, this rock here gets pushed down and buried really deep into the crust of the earth, even to the mantle, and this forms these little crystals here. As you can see, this whole rock is just covered in hundreds and hundreds of crystals, all interlocking. And if you look really closely, you can see them shining back at you. This rock here is known as a metamorphic rock. This rock was formed thousands of years ago when great heat and pressure got pushed together and created this fine rock. And more specifically, this rock is known as quartzite. We know this is quartzite because it has these great big white crystals all over it, and it has, if you look closely, it shines back nicely at you. If you shine a little light in there or look under a little magnifying glass, you can see it shining real nice back at you. This here, my personal favorite, probably the easiest to identify, is known as the igneous rock. Yeah, you guessed it right. So as I was talking about earlier, if you look real close, you can see these tiny little vesicles here that look like little holes. Right over here, right here is another one. Right here, it looks like it goes right through it. This is an igneous rock because it was formed by magma and or lava long ago when a volcano erupted. You can tell this is an eruption. You can tell this is a explosive eruption because this one has many vesicles and it's very light if you handle it, and it's very dark in color, with a few exceptions of just some loose sediment that got involved in here during the explosions. More specifically, this is known as a basalt rock, which is probably the lightest rock you're gonna find out there. It's very airy. It's almost like a hard sponge if you think about it. And look at it, it kind of looks like one. But you can see a little discoloration, which is from rusting because the iron in the rock. And yeah, this is probably the coolest one you're gonna see out there. So now that we know a little bit about these rocks and where they come from, now we're gonna take a deeper dive and see if you guys can identify them. And then I'll show you after, so feel free to pause the video and organize them in the 3 categories. So now we're gonna review these rocks real quick and sort them as we go. So first up, to keep it in order, we're gonna start with the sedimentary rock. This rock, we know it's sedimentary because it's fine little pores all over the rock and it's sandy-like texture. In the middle here, we got a little bit of a mix of the heat and the sediment. We know this one as metamorphic. Metamorphic, we got some interlocking crystals that really like to shine back at you, and very strong and competent, held together strongly rock. That's metamorphic. Last up, but not least for sure, igneous, the volcanic rock, my favorite. This guy here has very dark coloration to it, very dark black, maybe a little bit of dark gray in there, but this guy is known for its vesicles and sponge-like appearance. So yeah, that is igneous rock. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I hope you guys learned something real interesting about these rocks here, and I hope to see you next week on next week's episode. And remember, geology rocks!